YTPC. Aristopoulos here. I am not actually smoking today. I am inside, and there are many people in the house, so that would not go over very well at all. But I am compiling a order form to Pipes and Cigars for some stuff that I am going to pick up, so I figured that was keeping in the general theme of things. This is actually a video response to the Pipe Nook concerning the music that has guided you throughout your life. But let me tell you what I'm getting ready to drop the hammer on Pipes and Cigars. Getting a replacement stem for my cob over there. Few too many teeth marks in it. Let's see. I'm getting an ounce of Autumn Evening. I'm getting a tin of Private Stock Taste of Summer. Missouri Misham, Independence Day 2015, because I don't believe there's going to be a 2017 in tobacco or the United States. And let's see, I'm getting a tin of Mind Meld Caramel Nut Captain. And let's see, I'm also getting a tin of Motodos, or however the hell you say it. But that's going to be my order from Pipes and Cigars. And I apologize for this creaking chair. I will try to prevent moving around as much as possible. But, getting to the topic at hand. Let's see, my favorite albums. A quick list would probably be, Physical Graffiti by Zeppelin. Because you've got Zeppelin before Physical Graffiti, and you've got Zeppelin after Physical Graffiti. But there was something going on with them during the recording of that album. It's just a cut above the rest. And as luck would have it, Robert Plant agrees with me. Let's see, who else? Probably say some Boston. There was that movie with Jodie Foster and Sherry Curry from The Runaways called Foxes. And I think that was the first time I ever heard Boston's music. And the second I heard it, I was asking everybody I could find, who sang that song that she plays on the record player. And I also thought that band Angel was pretty good. I was shocked to find out they were an actual band. I thought they were just a band that was made up for the movie. But they were an actual band, and I think that Randy Rhoads had been a member of them at one point. Or maybe I may be getting him confused with somebody else. It's been quite a few years since I had that information. But let's see, who else? This is mostly going to be a list of hard rock and heavy metal, because that's mainly what I've listened to most of my life. I'd say probably the first Quiet Riot album. Let's see, probably Metallica's Ride the Lightning. And Justice for All. And Justice for All, it's just, I don't know, it seems like it's so crisp and clear. That's the first Metallica album that I couldn't stop listening to, backwards and forwards, cover to cover. I'd be on a trip with the family, and I'd be constantly popping that tape out and flipping it over. That and Appetite for Destruction from Guns N' Roses. But it's not all hard rock and heavy metal. Let's see, when I was a kid, a guy brought an album on the bus one day, Kenny Rogers' Greatest Hits. And he would play that as we rode to school. And I turned right around and told my parents that what I wanted for Easter was a copy of that album, and they got me that on 8-track. And that's one album that's followed me throughout my life. Wonderful, wonderful music. Let's see, who else? Probably the Cars. Lionel Richie's Can't Slow Down album. I I think that was the name of it. It's been so long. And of course, now with everything digital and being on the computer, you really don't have to go get the album out and look at it. You just go to your computer and pull something up. So it's really hard to keep track of album titles nowadays. But I think Lionel Richie's "Can't Slow Down" was a really big album. I enjoyed that. I think probably more than Michael Jackson's "Thriller." Both those albums were huge at the time. Let's see. Later on in life, probably right after I graduated from high school, was when the first Better Than Ezra album came out. Well, not the first one, because the first one doesn't really sound like the later stuff. But whenever Good came out, no, that's a song. Good. See what I mean? You can't keep track of the album titles anymore. Deluxe was the album. But that's a band that really made an impact on me when, after I got out of high school and started working. I guess that album came out about, what, 94, I guess? A few years after high school. But that's probably one of my absolute very favorite bands. Better Than Ezra. Goo Goo Dolls, big one. But the band that probably, without a doubt, made the biggest impact on me, mainly because they were the first exposure I had to any kind of music, my own musical voice. The only music I had up till that time, and I was about 6 years old, so as much as up to that time could be at the age of 6, I had an 8-track tape of TV show theme songs, and the only one I can remember from that was the theme song to the TV show SWAT. And there were a couple other ones that I liked on there. But I didn't really have a musical identity. All the albums in my house were my parents' albums. And then one day this kid, we lived in this little apartment community, and he got me, and we went over to this other guy's house. And right away it was unusual because this kid that we went to see was a teenager. I'm like 6, 7 years old at the time. I'd never been into the house of somebody else where there wasn't somebody of my age group that lived there. But we go in, and right away I'm clocking this guy because he's just bubbling over with excitement. He's bought this album. And so we go in there, and he picks up the album. And I didn't know, he said the name of the band, which I didn't know, but I'm looking at the cover of this album. And, I'm a huge horror movie fan. And, the second I see the face on the cover, there's only one face on the cover of this album. You probably already can guess who I'm getting ready to mention. But I saw the face on this cover, and my interest level just skyrocketed. I mean, I can't wait for this guy to put this album on so I can hear this, because I'm a huge horror movie fan. I don't know if all libraries and all schools across the U.S. were the same, but when I was a kid, they had these orange and black books dedicated to the Universal Studios movie monsters that they had in the school library. And every time the class would go to the library, I made a beeline right to these books. And that was all I really cared about. I was a huge horror movie fan. None of the the intense stuff. I mean, these were all the old movies, where the chills and the frights were very low key. None of the stuff that came later in the 70s and 80s. So he pulls this album out and he puts it on. And this guy starts laughing. But it's not a regular laugh. It's like a laugh of savoring something. And it was just the coolest thing I'd ever heard. It was so sinister. And I said to this guy, "What's he doing?" And this guy looks at me like I've got a penis growing out of my face. And he goes, he's cracking up. Like it was obvious. The guy's laughing. He's cracking up. Well, I'd never heard that term before. The term cracking up. So immediately I'm on the edge of my seat. I'm like, I can't wait to find out what the hell's getting ready to happen. And so then these voices start to come in, like operatic voices, to mingle with this laughter in the background. And then some string instruments kind of come in. And eventually it's just a big mass of sound chaos. All these jumbled up sounds, you can't really make anything out. And then all of a sudden, all of it just melts into this kick-ass 70s rock track. Well, I mean, at 6 years old, my knowledge of or my history of what kick-ass music was very limited. But I mean, it was just so amazing, man. This introduction to this music, and of course that was Gene Simmons' solo album, the bass player for Kiss. And I can't say that album is my favorite. I can't say that I mean, I barely listen to that album anymore. It didn't really have an impact on me outside of just how magical my introduction to a musical voice of my own was. And I hadn't even been introduced to Kiss proper at that point. This was just Gene Simmons' thing. But I immediately went out and told my parents that I wanted to get that album, and they got it for me for some reason. To this day, I can't understand, knowing how religious my mom is and how stubborn my dad can be, how the hell I ended up getting this album with this dude on the front cover. I think maybe because it was an art picture and it wasn't an actual photograph, that maybe they didn't really take it seriously or something, and maybe that's how I got it. I don't know. But thank God they did. Because it was just, my whole introduction to all the Kiss music was magical. My parents took me to the mall one night, and I went to this little record store. And I'm sure that I'm not remembering it correctly, because this thing was almost literally a little hobbit hole in the wall of this mall. And it seems like it should have been much bigger, but it seemed like it was, my memory of it seems like it was very small. And I walked in, and they had all these neon lights in there, lit the place up. They had mirrors all over the place, and it just gave this record store this color that really wasn't a color. It was a meshing of all these colors that kind of formed a brand new color. It was really weird. And I started talking to the guy that was running the register, and I guess he could see the excitement on my face, because he took a razor blade and he walked over and he pulled Kiss's Alive 2 album off the shelf, sliced it open, and pulled out the insert and a sheet of tattoos and gave them to me. And I mean, I just went, my excitement just went crazy with this, because now I've got some first real material on these guys. I get to see all these guys up close. I'd seen the cover through records and stuff, but I mean, it was just such a magical introduction to that, and probably ruined me for good music. It feels like an insult to say that, and I don't mean it as an insult at all. I think the music stands up. I was working one day, and I hadn't listened to any Kiss in several years. And one day, Lick It Up came on the radio, and I mean, it sounded so great, I couldn't wait to listen to it again. But yeah, I saved that one for last. Although I don't think I mentioned Journey. Journey was a huge band for me. The Escape album was just great. Stone in Love, Don't Stop Believing, Still They Ride. I mean, those are some of probably my favorite songs that they ever put out. But I mean, look, I sit here long enough, I'm going to come up with another one here, another one there, another one here. It's going to go on and on. But yeah, I think I've boiled it down to an essence of the music that was the soundtrack of my life. That's one of my favorite lyrics from Steppenwolf's Rock and Roll Rebels. He picks up the gang at the usual places to hear the soundtrack of their lives, and as they race down the highway to a brand new start, it may not change the world, but it helps them survive. That's just, oh man, that's rock and roll to an essence. That's music to an essence, boiled down to an essence. Anyway, that's my story. And I think I had something else I wanted to say, but I can't remember what that was. There was supposed to be a third act to this video. Oh well, I guess I'll just have to put in another one. Anyway, this is Aristopoulos signing off. May you always have an eternal ember burning. Thank you.